Hello, it's your Uncle Spurt here, and today we're going to be having a good hard squint at Samsung's fresh new Galaxy Book 5 Pro laptop. And if you're getting a slight tinge of deja vu, well, I already reviewed the Samsung Galaxy Book 5 Pro 360 at the arse end of 2024. And now here's the regular, not quite as flexible Galaxy Book 5 Pro, which launched at CES 2025 with the same Intel Core Ultra 7 Series 2 smarts. I've been having a bit of a play with the Galaxy Book 5 Pro, so here's my early thoughts. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first up, you can snaffle the Galaxy Book 5 Pro in a choice of two sizes, either 14 or 16 inches. My review model is the 16-incher, and it is certainly a bit of a beast. It's actually pretty skinny for a 16-inch laptop, no complaints there whatsoever, but weighs over 1.5 kilos, so it's certainly got a proper good heft to it, and of course you will need a sizable backpack to squeeze this bugger in. But thankfully that aluminium chassis feels proper sturdy, solidly constructed throughout. You can twist and yank on this thing as much as you like, there's not a hint of flex. And even though that lid is impressively skinny, it also feels nice and sturdy. You'd have to really put some force into it to crack the thing. And this Galaxy laptop comes in a choice of two colours, either grey or silver. So only the most highly erotic colours for any laptop. You know, Samsung clearly going for a MacBook-esque vibe as usual with this bad boy, and it certainly looks slick and smart, if not particularly sexy. And that matte surfacing does a supremely good job of repelling fingerprints and other grimy, greasy stuff. Only really gets fingerprinty if I've been eating food and then I pick this thing up, and even then just give it a quick buffing off and it'll look box fresh again. And the main difference in the design between this model and the Galaxy Book 5 Pro 360 is the fact that the hinge isn't quite as flexible, so the screen only tilts this far back. But I haven't struggled to find a good viewing angle with this thing, even if I'm really cramped up on a train or whatever. Now for the ports, you've basically got the same selection as that 360 model. So once again, over on the left edge, you've got dual Thunderbolt 4 ports, as well as a bit of HDMI 2.1 action. And then if we flip this bad boy around, you got yourself a single USB-A 3.2 port alongside a micro SD memory card slot and good old headphone jack. A respectable enough setup, although I would have been quite happy with an extra USB Type-C port over here on the right edge just to balance things out a bit. And when you want to actually use your Galaxy Book 5 Pro, well, you do have a built-in fingerprint sensor here on the power button, which as you can see there, unlocks this laptop in roughly a second. Super quick and responsive, and doesn't seem to have any issues recognizing me ever. Unless I've been fingering a bucket of KFC's finest or something like that. Unfortunately, the Galaxy Book 5 Pro's built-in webcam doesn't appear to be compatible with Windows Hello, so can't use that as an alternative option when you are sporting a bit the old chicken fingers. Your biometrics and other sensitive bits are all stored on a dedicated chip that Samsung has chucked into the Galaxy Book 5 Pro. You've got the usual Samsung Knox security smarts as well, so good one if you are a wee bit paranoid about all that shenanigans. Now this 16-inch version of the Galaxy Book 5 Pro sports an almost edge-to-edge keyboard complete with a dedicated number pad. As always, I do find it slightly annoying when you got that number pad crushed up right against the rest of the keyboard, no separation whatsoever, because it means whenever I'm reaching for the enter key, the shift key or the backspace key, I inevitably sometimes end up hitting the number keys instead. Maybe perhaps this is just an Uncle Spurt problem though, because I can't remember the last time I did see decent separation whenever there was a number pad, so maybe nobody else gets quite as irked about it as I do. And yes, absolutely stupidly tiny cursor keys as well as usual. But I found the touch typing experience was perfectly comfortable here on the Galaxy Book 5 Pro once I adjusted to it, which didn't take long at all. I got some decent speeds out of it, and yes, the key travel's pretty shallow, but it is a fairly skinny laptop to be fair. You've got a respectable and customizable bit of backlighting as well. Although I did find that backlighting would instantly fade the second I stopped typing, which was rather annoying until I dove into the Samsung keyboard settings and disabled that option. And Samsung's absolutely massive clicky touchpad is same as usual. It's bloody huge. It does fill a significant chunk of that palm rest. It's slightly skewed off to the left, which I would have preferred something more centralized. I do wish that Samsung would chuck in some Asus style gesture support as well for skimming through video timelines or raising the volume and the brightness by swiping down the edges, something like that to make the most of it. Otherwise, no complaints. It's not exactly up there with the very best in terms of usability, but certainly pretty good stuff. Oh, and I was quite surprised to see that Samsung had added touchscreen controls to the Galaxy Book 5 Pro as well, given it's not the 360 model. So you can't stick it in good old tent mode, but hey, it seems to be perfectly responsive again. It's there if you need it. Now, as with pretty much all Samsung laptops, one of the absolute highlights here is that whopping great 16-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X display. Pretty much fills the inside of the lid. You've still got a little bit of a lip down below, but nothing too bad at all. You've got 3K resolution visuals here, 2880 by 1800. So again, same as that 360 model. So visuals nice and crispy, whatever you're up to. Got strong contrast as you'd expect from an OLED display. And you can mess around with the color output and everything in the Samsung display settings. You can stick it on AMOLED native, sRGB, Adobe RGB, or DCI-P3 modes. And I do like Samsung's focus mode as well, which basically fades everything outside of the app you're currently using. Just keep it out of sight, out of mind, all that bollocks. The brightness of that display maxes out at around the 400 nits level, not the absolute brightest, but still pretty good for working in brightly lit indoor environments, and outdoors not too bad, especially helped along by the fact you've got this anti-reflective display, which is more obvious if I dim that display right down. As you can see, the reflection from the studio light, not too horrendous considering just how bloody bright this thing is. And when I bump the screen brightness all the way up, as you can see, you can barely even see that light reflected there. You've also got Samsung's Vision Booster tool slapped on here, which can pump up the contrast and again improve that visibility when you are outdoors or somewhere proper bright. As for the refresh rate, well, that scales from 48 to 120 Hz. You've got full VRR support. And I'm also a fan of Samsung's quad AKG speaker setup with some 38mm woofers stuffed in there. You've got full Dolby Atmos surround sound support. And even music doesn't sound too god-awful when played through those speakers. You've got a respectable bit of bass in there. It's certainly fine for playing a bit of background tunes while you're working on whatever. You certainly don't have to worry about chucking on a pair of headphones if you're just trying to enjoy a video of, some bald northern twat or something like that, and your house is quite a noisy environment. You've got lots of kids screeching in the background, family members screaming at one another, etc. Just max out the volume, give you an idea. And swapping from the OnePlus 12 to the OnePlus 13 would kind of feel like dating Chris Evans and then dumping him for the other Chris Evans. But of course, if you want to use a pair of cans, no worries. You've got that headphone jack and full Bluetooth support naturally. And then squeezed away in that quite skinny top bezel there above the display, you've got yourself a basic 2 megapixel full HD webcam. So you can capture your own beautiful mug at full HD resolution if you want to shoot a bit of a vlog, or of course you're doing a bit of video chatting, and you got full support for the usual Windows Studio shenanigans, so you can blur out the background, you can get a bit of eye contact on the go, so it looks like you're always paying attention to what's going on the screen, and you've got a good bit of automatic framing as well, so if you do tend to move around a lot during video chats, this will hopefully occasionally kind of zoom in on you and make sure that you're the center of attention. Sometimes can be a little bit slow to react, or in this case just not react at all, so that's banging. Now for the performance, well, the Galaxy Book 5 Pro is powered by that same Intel Core Ultra 7 chipset that was stuffed inside of the 360. It's the Series 2, of course. I got the 256V backed by 16 gigs of RAM. But Samsung is also apparently going to offer this laptop in a Core Ultra 5 flavor if you want to save a bit of cash. And that built-in NPU powers Samsung's AI-based features, the likes of AI Select, where you can basically just click on any picture, image, text, links, etc., and AI will work its wonders. Unfortunately, when it comes to image searches, for instance, it is reliant on Bing, which is about as helpful as a condom machine in a nunnery. Quite often it comes back with, we can't find any results for this person who might be on the internet in some form. Let's see how it handles a bit of Like Moths to Flames album art. And it's come up with one correct search result and then just a whole bunch of random shit. So generally, about as clever as a Geordie after his 10th pint of Nuki Brown. But what about the gaming performance with that integrated Intel Arc GPU? Well, I plugged in the Samsung Galaxy Book 5 Pro, switched on the performance mode, and then fired up a bit of Indie and the Great Circle. And I gotta say, it wasn't enjoying life too much at all. I saw quite a few graphical glitches even after fiddling around with the display settings a lot. With the dynamic resolution switched on, the frame rate generally hovered somewhere between 20 and 30 frames per second, dropping a smidge under 20 only in the really big, proper impressive outdoor environments. The game was just about playable, but I certainly wouldn't bloody recommend it. Although thankfully, Sammy's laptop didn't even begin to get proper hot, even with sustained playtime on this AAA title, and those fans are impressively quiet even when they're running full pelt. And certainly slightly older, less demanding games like Forza Horizon are a better idea if you want to decompress in your downtime. And yeah, you may not get to punch fascists in their tiny angry cocks, but you can at least wreck some very shiny cars by forgetting that they actually have brakes. And of course, you can also merrily edit photos in apps like GIMP and throw together a video using Samsung Studio. And it took that app just under 6 minutes to render a near 20-minute 4K video file, which ain't too shabby. As for the storage, where you got up to a 1TB SSD stuffed inside that skinny chassis, although apparently the Galaxy Book 5 Pro will also be available in a 256GB flavor, which certainly doesn't seem like a good idea. And as for the battery life, well, Samsung is quoting up to 25 hours of playtime from the 16-inch version of this laptop with its 76 watt-hour capacity cell. Now, the battery life is certainly a highlight here on the Galaxy Book 5 Pro, although I didn't quite manage to stretch to 25 full hours. I found I tended to get just over 10 hours of mixed use from a full charge. That includes lots of play in Google Chrome, lots of different tabs open, pretty much non-stop streaming of music in Spotify in the background, occasionally diving into a bit of GIMP to edit some photos, etc. Of course, if all you're doing is just streaming a video with the screen brightness not on particularly high, you'll get more like 15 to 20 hours of video playback from a full charge on this thing. On the flip side, if you're indulging in more demanding tasks like video editing, you can expect closer to 6 to 7 hours of use on a full charge, but that beats the living shit out of my MacBook, that's for damn sure. Only problem is that with the bundled 65 watt adapter, it does take quite a while to recharge this bloody thing, about 2 hours in total if it's fully drained. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is Samsung's fresh new Galaxy Book 5 Pro, the regular laptop, not the 360, which I've done a separate video on, and just what I reckon after using it as my laptop for just a couple of days. Pre-orders should be going live in about a week or two after I publish this video, and then the laptop should be on sale in early February. And certainly if you want a Windowsy type alternative to a MacBook, the big old gorgeous 16-inch display, respectable performance, great battery life, yada yada yada, well, it's definitely well worth considering, although as with all Samsung devices, not particularly cheap. But it'd be great to hear your thoughts on the Samsung Galaxy Book 5 Pro. Definitely let us know what you reckon down in the comments below. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. And have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone. Love you.